Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Yes? Ooh, yeah, the teaching cards. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So, good morning. My name's Kathy Wesley. I work here. And I'm really pleased to see that all of you got the benefit of our printed publications. That's a joke. Thank you for looking us up and finding your way here this morning. I always say that when people come here, they bring their sincerity. And I think you're bringing it today. So I want to thank you for bringing your goodness and sincerity to our space. Thank you for meditating with us. Thank you for attending our classes. And come back again, please. I want more banana bread, though. That was pretty good. Okay. So announcements, quick announcements. Whoever sat in the front row last Sunday left this. It's on an OSU vet school keychain, so if somebody lost their key, we got it. Okay, and unfortunately, we don't have any cars parked in the parking lot illegally, so I can't make that announcement today. So I'd like to remind everyone that we are in the process of our fall fund drive, and we are looking for supporters who can support our mission, which is to provide free meditation instruction every week for anybody who wants it, and also to provide a space for people to learn about Buddhism who want to learn. And so if you would like to become a regular donor, I think the levels of the Friends of KTC starts at $5 a month, I think. And you get library privileges for that. It's kind of nice. So our goal is 10 new members, and by that I should say new supporters, because they're regular donors, and then 10 people who are already donors to increase their pledge. So there will be a raffle, and if you renew your membership and increase it, or a new member, you get tickets, and if you're a current member, you get tickets, but you can increase your chances for our fabulous prizes, which include a statue, small statues, and so forth. So that's the commercial. Okay, now on to the main event. Did you have an announcement, sir? Okay, I'm just checking, because when one of my bosses is standing near me, I get a little nervous. In any case, Lama Lodro Lhamo started her program this weekend, and she is going to be talking on the importance of teachers in spiritual life. And she is, she's the first woman president of KTD Monastery. And she is now entering her 4th year of a 6-year term. So we're very happy that she took some time from all of her office work to be here. Anyway, so I work with her kind of as a volunteer for KTD, so it's fun. So she's been a student of Dharma for many, many years, and has been a student of Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, the founder of this center. And Lama Lodro Lhamo did 3-year retreats, and is the women's retreat master at Carmelang 3-year retreat center in upstate New York. So thank you very much for attending. The talk will be about an hour. Okay, thank you. Everyone, please be seated.
Good morning, everyone. We have a chanting to do.
Yeah. We like to begin our teachings with a statement of pure intention, and to do that, we recite the refuge prayer, which is on one side of yours.
Refuge prayer.
And we'll recite it 2 times in English, and then the 3rd time will be in the language it was written in, Tibetan. So you can join along or just listen. In Buddha, the Dharma, and His most excellent, I take refuge until I reach enlightenment. I have merit of generosity and other deities. May I achieve enlightenment.
So good morning. Very happy to see all of you. And this morning, I was asked to talk about the importance of having a teacher. And I think in order to understand why a teacher is important, maybe I think I'll provide some more general background to why we need to have a teacher. First of all, there are many religions in the world, and all these religions provide some sort of a spiritual help, maybe, it makes people feel perhaps, settled because they have some source where they can rely on, whether it be God or some sort of a deity and, other things. And I think that's very important and very good, as long as the religion does not teach one to be to be very self-centered and only serve one's purpose. I think it's all good. And among all these religions, I think Buddhism stands out for its unrelenting, almost, I can use the word, I guess, emphasis on compassion, loving kindness, and bodhicitta that comes out of this compassion. A compassion that wishes all beings to be free from suffering, and the loving kindness that wishes all beings to have happiness. And because of this, you want a step forward, a step further to want them to not only be happy in this life, and not only be free from suffering in this life, or a future life, the next life, or the life after, or future several lifetimes. You want them to be completely and ultimately free from all form of suffering, and to have the most consummate bliss and happiness. So that is bodhicitta. And that can only be achieved by attaining Buddhahood. This is something that I think differentiates Buddhism from all other religions, and that is, there is a way. What the Buddha taught provides a way for achieving that goal of consummate bliss that is unlike any kind of worldly happiness, a way for attaining freedom from suffering that is completely free from any sort of suffering, mental or physical suffering, forever, eternally. And not just that it transcends suffering. You know, it can actually alter suffering in that sense. So that is why, you know, this is a religion, but it's beyond, it goes beyond religion. But this also goes into the core of our being, because why do we exist? Why do we live? What's the purpose? It's all answered in here. You know, we live to achieve that ultimate goal of freedom from suffering and attainment of happiness and bliss forever. We'll never return to any form of suffering. And most people work very, very hard all life just because they want happiness, because they want not to have to suffer. And they want their wishes to be fulfilled, whatever they are. And the thing is, if one wishes those things for just themselves, then if it's very, very self-centered kind of wish, then the result is perhaps in order to achieve those goals, they would do things that could bring harm to others, or could prevent others from obtaining their happiness. So that in turn creates bad karma for themselves. And then the result of bad karma is suffering for oneself. And so that goes on and creates a cycle for oneself. So one continues to live in this cycle of wishing for something and then not getting it, and so doing something bad in order to get it. We see it here in this world a lot, right? And then because you're suffering, so you want to be free from suffering, so you do something that hopefully can free you from suffering, but that perhaps could not be good for other people. And then it gets back to you, and you suffer even more. So on and on and on. So the kind of means that people use to achieve happiness is, in a way, self-destroying, in a way, self-defeating, and only results in further worse conditions. So we've seen a lot of that. And that's why if we're looking for a way, an alternative to this, then that alternative, I would say, is what the teachings say by the Buddha, you know, what the teachings teach by the Buddha. And because what the Buddha taught is be kind to others, be compassionate to others, and work very hard so that others can be completely and ultimately be free from suffering. If you make that your life's mission and your life's goal and your present and ultimate aspiration, then you yourself will also, you know, naturally be happy and naturally attain that same goal that you wish for others. And that, if you make that your work, if you make that your practice, if you make that your aspiration, then everything works very nicely, and the world will be in a better place. So I think that is one of the main differences between Buddhism and other religions, which is that you not only, you know, want to send happiness and joy and peace to other people today, like happy birthday kind of thing, or this year, Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, that's all very good, but that's temporary. Next year you might be miserable again. Tomorrow after the birthday, and we can't do much by wishing just for temporary happiness, because everything is impermanent, everything changes. Next day may be bad again. But fortunately, the Buddha taught a way. It's not, immediate. The result may not be immediate, but so you have to work, 1 life, 2 lifetimes, and you work on it. And the result will be you're happy today, you're happy tomorrow, you're happy forever. Even if there are difficult situations, even if there are challenges, you're still happy. Your mind remains in a state of tranquility, peace, bliss, non-aggression, no affliction, and is always there. It will never leave you, because that is how your mind has always been. You just didn't know it, and you need to work on it to know it, to get there, to get to where your mind has always been. And that's what the Buddha taught. And once you get there, there's no suffering, because your mind has never, that real mind, not the mind that you experience day to day, that real mind of yours and the mind of everyone else has always been blissful. Has always been blissful. We just don't know it. And the Buddha said, find it. It's in you. And it will never leave you. It's always there. Once you get there, it'll never leave you, because it's always been there. It's always been who you really are, what your mind really is. And so that's how it is. And, I don't think other religions tell you that. Other religions usually say you need to rely on external being or external something to be protected, to be happy, to get what you want. Of course, Buddhism talks about that too. But ultimately, that's kind of intermediate kind of, you need to get, if you want to get to a destination, you need to rely on, resources. So these are our resources, and we do need these resources. But ultimately, you are the resource. You yourself are the resource. And it's all in your mind. So we meditate, we do, a deity practices, we do sadhana, we do chanting and make offerings and things like that. These are things we use as our resource, as our means for getting to that core. And that core is already there. It's always been there, waiting for you to discover. And that is simply your mind itself. If you want happiness, the happiness comes from your mind. If you want happiness, you need to find it in your mind, not from someone else, or some material things, or some, worldly god or something like that. You have to go to your mind. And that's what we're practicing. That's all practice, Dharma practice, Buddhist practice is about. It's about this. And so, because it is so profound, so subtle, very hard to grasp, very hard to understand, very hard to get there. So there, after the Buddha passed away, there were many, many schools of Buddhism that came about, that spread the Buddha's teaching in their own way, that suit certain people. And so there are, what we say, Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana, and these are all different techniques, different vehicles for that would be workable for different people of different capacities and inclinations. Not that one is better than the other. They're all equally good. They all take us to the same destination, which is just this mind, I'm pointing at my heart, but it's not what it is. It's not with this brain, it's not the brain, and it's not the heart, the physical heart. But anyway, what the mind is, that's another subject. But anyway, so if you're a beginner and you're wondering, where do I go? Which do I choose? And there's so many different Buddhist centers, Zen center, Theravadan center, right? And now here is Vajrayana center, Tibetan Buddhism, and maybe many other, even within Tibetan Buddhism, there are 4 major schools of Buddhism. We belong to the Gaju school, and then within the Gaju, there's many branches also. And then there's His Holiness Dalai Lama, he's the Gelug school. And then there's also, Nyingma school, and there's also the Sakya school, these 4 main schools. And within them, of course, there are branches also. So many. And then in Asia, China is mostly Pure Land, Amitabha practice, so that they can be reborn in Amitabha's Pure Land. Pure Land is very, very popular, predominant. But there is also Zen school, and Chinese is called Chan school, and Japan has Zen and others, and Korea as well. And then Southeast Asia, there's Vietnam is mostly Mahayana, and then Laos, Myanmar, and Thailand is mostly Theravadan. And then, Sri Lanka is Theravadan as well. So, and all these teachers come to the West, and they just start teaching Buddhism. And you go to their center and you receive Buddhist teachings, but maybe you don't know, where in the scheme of Buddhism, where does it fit? Where does it belong to? So it's maybe confusing for some beginners. But it doesn't matter. You can go to, the center near you, or, whatever Buddhist center that attracts you. That's all good. As long as what they teach is genuine Dharma and not something that just entices you so they can gain profit, And so this comes down to then why it's important to choose a good teacher, because there are so many centers, even in Columbus alone, right? I was told there are many Buddhist centers. And everyone will have a different, set of system of how they teach Buddhism, and a different set of practice that they provide. And so you may be confused, like, what do I choose? Who's better? I don't think there's better or worse. It's just, what suits you better. If you like meditation, maybe go to a Zen center. And if you like a variety of things, as meditation, chanting, and blah, 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 you may come here, right? And others, and even like Hindu centers that could be mistaken as Buddhism, even though, it's Hindu and this is Buddhism. But they are so similar, they almost identical, so no difference, but actually not. Like I said, Hinduism is excellent. I really think that this Hinduism is really, really good. But like I just said, when it comes to the teaching on the mind, Hinduism is different, There is that great mind that pervades all, and there's no self in it. That sounds like Buddhism, no? Yeah, Hinduism teaches that. Sounds like Buddhism. There's a very, very subtle difference, and that subtle difference makes all the difference. And that is, in Hinduism, even though there is like that great no self, and there's you're in this no self state of mind, but there is no bodhicitta, like I said. There's no great and unbearable wish to bring ultimate happiness to all beings. That's kind of one difference between Buddhism and Hinduism. The other is that great no self. There is still a subtle great self, and within that great no self, even though it seems like the self is not there, but there's a subtle self in there where one thinks, this is it. This is the great no self. There is still that thought. I may be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. And that is a problem, because that great no self is what one discovers what the mind really is. But that mind, it still has a little very subtle identification of this being it. This is it. And then it's far off. If there's still it in it, then it's not. So, this is getting maybe too subtle, so we won't discuss it. Anyway, this is not today's topic. So, anyway, so there's a difference, between Buddhism and Hinduism. That's why the final result is so vastly different, because the result of Buddhism, Buddhist practice, is Buddhahood. And Buddhahood is that which that transcends all states of existence and has control over all states of existence, has power over all existence. That is the result of Buddhist practice. And that power is nothing other than the mind itself. Everyone has it. Just needs to be discovered and practiced so that it can be revealed by itself, for itself, because it is that is itself. But Hinduism, the result is not Buddhahood, as you know. The result is still in the samsara, cycle of existence, and the highest form of the God's realm, and that's all they get. So there's a huge difference. Okay, so that's why you need a teacher. You need a teacher to guide you, so that you're not mistaken when you try to, go on the right path. You need a teacher who shows you the practices you need to do, so that your spiritual path can be fruitful and will not bring any harm to either yourself or others. And you need a teacher to show you how to begin. There's beginners, there's intermediate, and there's advanced practitioners. Each stage is different. And if you're given the advanced practice in the beginning, you'll be lost. So you need a teacher who knows your level and who knows what's suitable for you and who knows how to guide you and give you advice. Such teacher, yeah, they're around. Lama Kathy is one of them, and that's why, she's so precious, because she really has a lot of experience in guiding students, and she is really a good teacher. She will never misguide you. I can guarantee that. Why? Because she has an excellent teacher herself, It comes from her teacher, Khenpo Kata Rinpoche. So that's why you need a good teacher. And so how do you go about finding a good teacher? Well, first you need to see if the teacher really cares, If they care, they want to help you. And that's the first thing. It's not like, it's just their job, It's not just a job. They really care about each one who is seeking their spiritual path. And then secondly, they need to have the knowledge. They have been trained For example, Lama Kathy, she's done 3-year retreat, 3 year and 4 months retreat herself, in a strict, enclosed, sealed retreat. And that's, that's very unusual. That's excellent quality just there. And then the teacher needs to also have the insight of how to guide you. It's not like one size fits all, right? Everyone is different. Everyone's needs is different. So they need to have the knowledge and the insight to know what's best for you, what you need. And so the correct understanding of Buddhism is also very important. If they misunderstand Buddhism and they try to guide a student, then, it's misleading the student. So how do you know if the teacher has these qualities? Well, you just, you follow a teacher, and then you gradually see if it's working out, and you see what other people say about the teacher, and if they're a genuine teacher, and then you can follow the teacher. In our lineage, in the Gaji, Karma Gaji lineage, the lineage of the Karmapa, we have a picture of the Karmapa there. There are many excellent teachers, and sometimes they come and visit the center also. And there are many recognized teachers who just everyone says they're excellent. Everyone really respects them. Then in that case, you don't need to examine. You can trust that teacher. If everyone says, this is our lineage holder, he's good or she's good, then fine. You can really trust that. But if it's someone who you previously didn't know, and very few people know them, or even if people know them, there's different, maybe different comments about the teacher, then you need to kind of see if it works out. So in the beginning, you need to kind of, find your way and maybe see a few things about the teacher and then see if they're a good one for you, a suitable candidate for you. And in the Vajrayana, since this is the Vajrayana center, in the Vajrayana, there are also different levels of, we talk about Tantra, the Vajrayana teachings and practices. There are 4 levels. From the lower to the higher is the Kriya Tantra, the Chaya Tantra, the Yoga Tantra, and Anuttara Yoga Tantra, which means the highest Yoga Tantra. And a lot of practices are, the highest Yoga Tantra at the center. Sometimes there are lower tantras, but they are also mixed with higher tantras, so it's a mixture. And the reason I mention this is because sometimes people say, why Tibetan Buddhism as opposed to, let's say, I don't know, Japanese Buddhism, which is also, they have the Pure Land, Amitabha Pure Land practice also, but a lot of them also do the tantric practices. And they really, everything is, spotless. They're all so clean. Everything is perfect. And then the Tibetan Buddhism is like, whatever, it's okay, it's okay, I said, where do you do this? It's because the highest Yoga Tantra is different from the lower Tantra, which is predominant in Japanese Buddhist, Tantric Buddhism, is that, ultimately from the perspective, the ultimate truth, what's clean and what's unclean, the essence of cleanliness and uncleanness is the same. So, we may take it too far because we're not there yet. We haven't really realized what's clean. The essence of cleanliness and uncleanness is the same. Our mind hasn't realized that. We don't see it that way. Clean is clean, unclean is unclean. But in a sense, then because of that understanding, though, even though we're not at that level yet. And then we are not as careful as some others might be in external appearances. And you may be happy, oh, okay, good, then I can be just a little sloppy. It's fine. And also, that is why also we're very open to all forms of religion, all forms of faith, all kinds of strange behavior. You want to dye your hair pink or, whatever, wear strange clothes, fine. It's like, whatever, because it's like the mind is open. You see that everything in essence is pure. Everything in their essence is pure and unmistakably pure. So whatever appearances there's to an enlightened person, they don't see impurity. They don't see someone as being unlikable, and someone as being strange and need to kind of get away from them. They don't see that because everyone in their nature is pure and good. Because that nature is Buddha. So Buddha is pure and good, So that's how we see things. And so you can see that is so vastly different from worldly view, isn't it? The worldly view is 1 is 1, 2 is 2. Dirty and clean. There's definitely a difference. But in our view, the difference is blurred. And not that we don't see, not that we cannot distinguish what's good from bad. We have a clear understanding of what's good and bad. But we don't then like good people and dislike bad people, is the point. We have compassion for those who are underserved or, in a miserable condition. And we rejoice in those who, have better karma and have a better life and, live a glorious life. But in our minds, they're equal, They're not different. They are all in nature. If you look at their nature, I'm not saying their mind as it is now, just that nature of the mind is all good. So everyone is equal. That's how we see it. And that's why you need a good teacher to give you this kind of guidance, this kind of view. And that way your view can become broader and broader, rather than narrow and narrow and reject other views, reject Christianity, reject other whatever religions. No, it should be broader and more inclusive. And you will be guided so that you know where to begin, how to begin. In our tradition, we usually introduce the students first to meditation because in this world, in the modern world, there's so much distraction. Everything, all the movies, the entertainment industry, and everything else is geared toward distracting you. They want to distract you. And people are looking for distraction. They cannot settle down. They cannot be lonely. They cannot stay alone. If you're alone, you want something. You want something from Netflix or whatever, because you're used to being distracted. And if you want to get closer to that pure nature of your mind, you need to not be distracted. You need to come back inward. You need to settle in your own mind. Let your mind settle, and then you can settle. And then from there, you can get closer to what your mind really is. And so we begin usually by, guiding students in their meditative techniques, and then do the meditation practices, which the center provides here, and then you need, if you just meditate, that's already very good because it calms you down. Your emotions will be more stable, and it's really the basis of many good things if your mind is calm and stable. And then, of course, you need to be introduced to the teachings of the Buddha, what Buddhism is, and there's many different aspects of the teaching. You learn these teachings, so there's introduction to Buddhism classes. So you can learn from the teachers here, and then, gradually get to know what the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha is. And then knowledge is in the head, what we call intellectual. If you just have intellectual understanding of what the Buddha taught, it's not sufficient to really do anything that transforms your mundane mind into a spiritual mind. You need to actually engage in practice, You need to engage in Buddhist practice so that your mind can go where it wants to go rather than being, disobeying, So then we introduce the preliminary practices to you. This is not just this center. This is in general, Tibetan Buddhism. So these are the stages of practice that I'm talking about. There's meditation, there's studying, and then you need to go on to do the preliminary practices, which serve the purpose of bringing your mind to paying respect to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, the Holy Assembly, the teachers, and also purifying the negative karma you have accumulated from beginning this time through these practices. And then you need to also gather the accumulations of merit so that your practice can go well. And that is the practice of mandala offering. And of course, I'm not going to go into the details. That I'll leave these to your teachers to guide you. And then finally, there's guru devotion, as you do the guru yoga. These are the four, the refuge and bodhicitta, the practice of Vajrasattva for purification, the practice of mandala for accumulation of merit, and then finally the guru yoga, the practice of devotion. So these are the preliminary practices. And you may ask, can I do without it? I just want to meditate. Yeah, you can continue to meditate until you're ready, until you want to do something more than just meditate. And then you can also, if you like, I'm not really a meditator, I just want to do some practices other than meditation. Yes, go ahead. You can start other practices. Everyone is different. And so your teacher can guide you, And then after you complete the ngondro or the preliminary practices, you want to go on to other practices such as deity practice or guru practice, and that's all up to you and your teacher to discuss and determine what's best for you, what's most appropriate, what's most suitable for you, and what can bring the best result for you, and all these. So you talk to your teacher, you work with your teacher. And so in a 3-year retreat setting, then they also go through the same similar kind of process. In the beginning of the retreat, they do the preliminary practices, and then they do a few different guru yogas, and then they go into the deity practices. So that's what they pretty much do in a retreat. In a traditional 3-year retreat, that's what they do. And so you might ask, well, yeah, you were saying, all the practices of all different forms of Buddhism is so that one can finally, just like the Buddha did, the moment the Buddha attained Buddhahood, attained full enlightenment, what did he see? What was he enlightened to? Why is it called Buddhahood? Have you thought about that? What did he realize? We say enlightenment. Enlightened to what? You know? Then this brings us back to nothing other than what you already have. You know? All alone. It's just your mind. Except you don't see it. You don't experience it. It's all there. It's already, the Buddha is already you. But we don't know it. That's the problem. And that's why we need to tackle it by, okay, slowly doing meditation, which maybe don't like too much, or do the practices of the deity, and we have some people may have some sort of rejection, dislike, I don't want to do this. And it's because of our habits, our habits of just wanting distraction, just wanting comfort, pleasure. And these things kind of austere, you have to focus and you have to do this. It's our habits, so we kind of reject it and don't want to do it. But sometimes we have to force ourselves just a little bit, so that you can really be able to, benefit not only yourself, but also others. You can't just do everything that you want and that makes you happy and you're okay. Sometimes you have to kind of do something you don't really like, but it's good, so do it, like that. And work with your teacher, because they will tell you, if this happens, if you have problems doing the practice, how to resolve it, how to jump over the hump, and things like that. So I think that's probably all I wanted to say for today. We have 5 minutes for questions.
We have 2 question microphones on either side of the room. Feel welcome to come to the microphone and ask whatever you like. And if there are questions from the Zoom audience, actually, we don't have Zoom audience.
Thank you for your teachings. This is probably a pretty beginner question.
Sure.
But if we have the right belief or desire to liberate all beings, how does achieving Buddhahood help everyone?
Yes. Yes, it is a good question, because Buddhahood is the realization of one's own mind, one's own mind really is. And that mind has all the power, all the compassion that it takes to bring benefit to all beings, to liberate all beings from suffering. And we might think, yeah, really? We doubt it because we have no experience. Once you get there, you have absolutely no doubt, and the power is already there. And we all have it, except we don't know it. We think we're just this little mind, that's very limited, but it's not. In order to really reveal that quantum and exponential and all-possessive power of the mind, it takes a lot of practice. I hope that helps,
Thank you so much for being here and sharing what you know. I have another maybe beginner question. Sometimes in the beginning, it feels like the practice is focused on bringing awareness to yourself, coming to know your own habits of mind, focusing on my meditation routine. What is my mind doing while I'm meditating? My thoughts, etc. Can you speak to the transformation from that point to thinking outside of yourself as your spiritual practice?
Transformation from knowing your mind to what's next. Is there a question?
Yeah, and like expanding that beyond that's self.
Yes. That's a very profound question, actually. I'm not sure I have a good answer. Yes, it's, mindfulness and awareness is very kind of a popular subject, in recent years, maybe for many years already. And that's very important because we usually live our lives without really knowing ourselves, without knowing what our mind is about, just kind of following our emotions and our desires and our wishes and our impulses, and we just, go. So we're not really, sometimes not really aware, fully aware and mindful of our where our mind is, So it is important. It's very, very helpful to train in mindfulness and awareness. And your question is then, so if you're aware of your mind and if you're mindful of your mind, then what's next? I think you use that as a foundation for many other practices, If you have awareness and mindfulness, your other practices, such as meditation, such as your preliminary practices, such as deity practice, will go very well. It'll go very well. Also, being mindful of your mind is helpful for us to make improvements to how we can be a more compassionate person, a more loving person, a more open person, a broader mind. Because if we're not aware of what our mind is doing, then we're always limited to what our mind leads us to do, our habitual mind. But if you're aware, this is just a habit. I'm doing this. I'm thinking all just for myself. I'm very selfish. If you're mindful of that a lot, then you can make progress. You can make changes to what your habitual mind is leading you toward. You can change that toward a mind that cares more about others than yourself, a mind that wants others to be happy more than you wanting your own happiness. You can then make that kind of changes and transformation. I hope that helps. Okay, is that it? Okay. Huh? Yep, that's it, right? Okay. All right, so we dedicate the merit because, we're engaged in virtuous activities such as listening and talking about the Dharma, which is, virtuous. So we dedicate that virtue and merit to the happiness of all sentient beings. So let's chant the dedication.
Yeah, we'll recite it once in English, and then we'll recite it once in Tibetan. Okay? So it starts with the words, by this merit. By this merit, in all the denominations, may there be any wrongdoing, from the early days of earth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. The courageous century, who knows everything as it is, Samantabhadra, who also knows in the same way, and all the bodhisattvas, that I may follow their path,
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. And every day.